right, guys, welcome to another episode of Fully Equipped. Kris, how you doing, mate?
I am back from another whirlwind adventure. I just went out to Palm Springs, played another swag series event with the D-Gap team, which is their kind of collector tour exclusive high-end brand underneath the swag vertical. And the hang was super cool. Spent way too much money on head covers. Played a lot of golf. Won a couple skins. And my partner and I in the blind draw ended up winning day 2 of the event. So that was a couple bucks in the old pocket. And then joined another group of friends up in Monterey, played Spyglass.
Fun. Love that course.
Shot...
Kicks the shit out of me every time I play it.
Yeah, every time?
Kicks the shit out of me.
It was like my 5th or 6th. I lost track. My body was just hating me. And so everything was just smooth swinging.
Yep.
I think driver was going about 260, but I didn't miss a fairway. I was putting it really well. And I know this is going to come as a shock to you. My wedges around the green, awesome.
Don't believe it.
I know. I couldn't believe it either.
Don't believe it.
I hit the first green, and they were just slick as glass at Spyglass. And
I don't believe it. You and I have played golf like a couple of times with each other, and I've never seen someone that has the chipping yips like you. I'm not laughing at you, but it's like you're such a good golfer, and you just get ruined by your yips so badly. And they put you in such a shit position every time.
It's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. I mean, you think like Charles Barkley, Haney project, mental midget, with this just little tiny wedge shot 10 yards off the green. And I mean, I will either lay sod on it or hit it directly in the forehead, and it's like 30 over the back.
I think the first time I played with you was at Goat Hill, and literally I'm like at the flag, and you're like, you're in the danger zone. I'm like, what? And I move and you blade it exactly where I was standing. Anyway, sorry, you played Spyglass. You actually shot pretty well. You said you shot a 77?
Yeah.
That's a great round.
Had a pile of birdies in there, and it was kind of cool because they still had some of the structures and stuff up from the AT&T. So it was a little different environment than I've ever played it. And I mean, the greens were just slick. And par 5s were my friend. I birdied 3 of the par 5s out there. And man, I drove it great. Putting was really solid. Wedges were working, which to me was just like the heavens opened up, and it was, the perfect culmination of golf experience for somebody that is a basket case with chipping and pitching as of the last, I don't know. We'll say it's a little slump that's lasted like 18 months.
Okay.
What about yourself, sir?
Just been kicking it, man. I've had a lot of sick kids and all that kind of stuff, taking care of the family in that regard. But you and I got to play golf last week before you went on your trips. That was nice to be able to get out with you and play a proper round. That was a fun little round too. But outside of that, it's just life, man. Life is being lived right now. A lot of youth sports.
Oh, I can imagine.
Got both kids in flag football, one in karate, and then the other one in ice hockey. So nice. My days off are Tuesday and Sunday.
Tuesday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Other than that, full-time dad mode.
Other than that, it's just Monday karate, Wednesday karate and ice hockey, Thursday flag football, Friday flag football, Saturday hockey.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's a full-time job on top of your other full-time jobs,
right?
Plural.
But no, otherwise everything's good. Everything's good. Andrea is getting excited because we're about to book a trip up to Munns Park over 4th of July weekend.
Nice. 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
You're planning way in advance.
You have to, because all the places up there book out really, really quickly.
Gotcha. I've never been. I've heard good things.
It's great. It's a lot of fun. And then other than that, everything's good. My son's a dog shit, and it's a really sad state of affairs for me. I'm actually going to probably let go of my season tickets, not because I don't love the team or the Suns. It's just because they've hiked the prices up, because I'm paying for everyone's $2 hot dogs is what all of us season ticket holders assume.
That's you're absorbing the $2 hot dog.
But I love you for it. But my son's a dog shit. The only thing I've got looked forward to in sport right now is we're 50, 60 days away from the Masters, and then also the Australian football season starts in a month or so.
Nice. Australian football,
Australian
soccer,
football. Nope, Australian football. It's Aussie rules.
actual football.
Yeah, like it's so hard to explain for everyone out there. Just go and Google it if you want to see what it's all about.
Yeah, we can't unpack that. We don't have time.
It's a lot. But one of the greatest sports in the world. Once you watch it and once you understand the rules, it's pretty cool.
That's fair.
But yeah, that's me and life. Life is life. Like I just looked at my watch then, and I haven't even set the time on it yet.
Oh, that's fair enough.
It's 4 o'clock.
4
according
o'clock.
to my watch.
We're pretty close.
Even though it's 9:15.
Have you had a chance to play or hit any balls or anything since you and I played last week?
Nope. I've done nothing in between, but I did get sent, and I posted about it, and I got there's a lot of people commenting, which is kind of good. Power Built's kind of coming back into the marketplace.
Yeah.
So Power Built sent me a set of Atlas irons, the limited edition copper ones.
They look good.
They look incredible. They honestly, what they look like when I'm holding them is the OG blueprint from Ping. Like that's how bladey they are.
Yeah, it looked like they were some pretty aggressive lines on them, and that I mean, what's the leading edge look like on that?
Really good, really
Does
sharp, really nice. Yeah,
It's a sharper leading edge.
Yeah, like honestly, they it's a really good looking set of clubs, irons. I can't wait to hit them.
Nice. And what's the story behind it? Any cool tech? I know Power Built historically had a couple little gimmicky things here and there that they were trying to niche out.
I don't think there's anything gimmicky about this. These were made. I can't remember his name, so I apologize. But they were made for a guy that plays on the senior tour for them. So they're his basically set, and the blades that he wanted and what have you. My understanding is Power Built is trying to get back to where they were prior to the gimmicky stuff.
Gotcha.
Right. So like when they were big, like when Hogan was big and all of that kind of stuff. That's what they're trying to get back to. They're trying to reintroduce themselves into the golf market as a golf player.
Well, I mean, speaking of, that just reminded me when we were down at the PGA show and seeing Hogan and McGregor and some of those old brands that, I mean, I grew up with as kind of like, wow, these are some players clubs here. And seeing them make a push and coming back into the hard goods space. And now you're talking about Power Built. And there's a little bit of a resurgence from some of the legacy brands. So that's kind of cool to see.
It is cool to see. And honestly, like the engagement on that post that I did was kind of interesting. Like I think it's up to like 60 or 65 comments, and everyone is just like, Atlas are incredible. These irons are incredible. I've got these in the bag in the chrome version, but they are some of the best blades I've ever hit. Or muscle backs, whatever you want to call it, because it's an MB, but
sure,
looks more like a blade to me.
I mean, it kind of... For the gear audience that we have, like, is there a desire for some of those smaller, niche-y, not necessarily mainstream brands? So if you are a true, like, enthusiast, are you more inclined to go towards somebody like a McGregor and build a really cool custom set of McGregor irons opposed to a Titleist, a TaylorMade, a Callaway, something along those lines, just to be different?
I think so. I think for me, I think a lot of people are noticing that everyone's got the same thing in their bag. I think that's why head covers became so big, is because everyone's kind of went more onto like a head cover game to show what they've got.
Sure.
Because if you look around, most people, like a lot of people have the same clubs, left, right, center. So I think going to something more not nostalgic, but a brand that people don't know and the quality's there. I think people might go down that path. There could also be just the fact that there's a lot more people getting back into golf. So, like, if you think about, it was actually interesting. I was at the gym this morning, and there was a guy there, practicing golf stuff. I'm like, oh, what are you trying to get better at? He's like, oh, I'm on the senior tour. His name's Rusty. I'm on the senior tour. I'm just fixing X, Y, and Z while I'm working out and trying to stay nimble and what have you. And he's like, yeah, my kid's playing now, all of that kind of stuff. Like if you take out the fact that he's on the senior tour and what have you, like they're the kind of guys that go, oh, I used to play Power Built.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get another Power Built set. I don't know what this other stuff is. So I think there's a couple of schools of thought there. I also think there's enough room for these guys to come back as well.
I would agree. I mean, we just had our friends from New Level on and talking to Andy about kind of the tech and his design premise and all of the TLC that goes into the designs that they do launch. And since they don't have the cadence where they have to come out with something every 12 to 18 months, and they can take their time to kind of refine and do some testing. They're very in tune and very connected with their clientele, and also with the tour players that do kind of provide some of the inspiration for the designs. It's really nice to see some of those niche brands doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other thing that they've kind of see where there's an opportunity is there's a pocket in price point.
Absolutely.
And they see it, and I think they're going to try to take advantage of it. Brands like the Takamos and what have you, the D2C brands have really taken advantage of it.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably seeing that opportunity to join in that market share and try to take from that market share as well. That's an opinion, nothing else.
I mean, we value your opinion.
No, I'm just letting people know, just in case I get absolutely abused on the comment section.
Which you do.
I do.
And you take it well.
It is what it is.
Is what it is. You can't please everybody. I get that. Another one that we were kind of talking about was the Bridgestone product. And I've been doing more and more testing with that, and also kind of branched out, put it in a few people's hands to test. And the feedback that I've gotten, it's an Indo forged product. And Indo, as we know, really, really good quality forging, does EPON, does Shrixon, and the Shrixon and the EPON product is phenomenal when it comes to feel and feedback. And the Bridgestone 200 series irons and the wedges are really, really good. And I just like seeing all of these brands come back into the hard good market and kind of mix it up and show us something that's a little different, a little nichey. And as a gear nerd, I like having something that is different. So that's fun.
I'm with you. So it's going to be interesting to see what these power belts feel like. I haven't hit them yet, so full disclosure, I've been looking at them a lot because they're beautiful.
Yep.
But outside of that, I'll try to hit them this weekend, and I'll give everyone feedback on our show next week.
Curious to see what they do for you. We were talking about, we had Johnny Wonder on the show last week, and we were talking about kind of life on tour and the time that he'd spent with Callaway, and now he's joined us on the golf team. And we were out at the Phoenix Open together and walking around and doing the meets and greets, and he was introducing Jack and I to a lot of the tour reps, as Jack and I are going to be doing some kind of rounds on the tour, which I'm looking forward to. I head out the 23rd to go out to the Cognizant Classic in Palm Beach, Florida. And then that Florida swing is going to be a little bit of a grind. I'll be out on the road for a few weeks. But, we have, since last week, Thomas Dietrich coming away with a W, 24 under at the Phoenix Open.
Played great.
Stayed
within himself, played really, really good. Everyone was expecting him after day 3 on day 4 to just really let that lead go because of nerves and what have you.
Sure.
But just did what he had to do. It was great.
6 under final round?
Yes.
Pretty solid.
Solid round. And when he didn't, it's not like he had nobodies behind him chasing him as well.
Yeah, Spieth was making a little bit of a push. Justin Thomas was making a little bit of a push. Those are two pretty big names that when you see them close to the top, it definitely warrants attention, right?
Really, really quickly on Spieth. So he made a putter change for the first time in his career.
TP Mills.
Yeah, so let's talk about TP Mills.
Let's dive into it.
Like, where is this something that was created for him? Is this something that's been around and he just put it together? Like, what do you know the backstory behind that?
I don't know the backstory behind that particular putter. When I was looking at it on the putting green, and it had definitely had some love. So it's a putter that he had either been working to get it into the bag or kind of doing some testing. He had 4 different putters that he was kind of rolling around early in the week, and he was on the putting green and had his team with him, and they were looking at lines, and they were just kind of tracking everything with a few different putters. And then I believe it was Wednesday where he was exclusively kind of rolling that TP Mills, and everything else was just kind of off to the side. And there's a couple of other news outlets that were snapping pictures and talking about it, and it was like, okay, this is the one that's going in the bag for the week, and great looking putter. But TP Mills, kind of more of that craftsman style of putter where it's a really, really well machined product. And have you ever rolled one or done anything with them?
Nope.
No. They were really, really popular not too long ago, really. The quality of the putter that they made, it gave you the opportunity to kind of customize everything top to bottom. And the shape and design of the one that he was using, nothing really flashy, pretty classic.
Very similar to the putter, the Scotty Cameron putter he had, right?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, there's definitely some characteristics that kind of flowed there, but yeah, I didn't have an opportunity to talk to anybody from his team as to why he decided to make the change. I mean, we've talked about it historically. Like sometimes you just need a new shape. You need to look at a new optic. You need a different contrast or just a different feel off of the face just to help you get your lines back. And I mean, that could be what's going on. Is it going to make it into the regular rotation and he's going to bench the Scotty? Like, remains to be seen.
So Dietrich wise though, one played really, really great. Callaway guy using Apex irons, Opus wedges. He's got an older Callaway putter. Which putter's he got in the bag again? It's got the micro hinge.
The O-Works. Number 7. Yeah, with a micro hinge insert. And then still playing AI Smoke. And I mean, that kind of lends itself to it's still relatively early in the season. Guys are still working into new products. Adaptation for some takes a little longer than others, but I would expect to see him. Well, that kind of begs the question. He just won.
Right.
And we know Callaway is going to want him in the elite product, which has been testing really, really well. But as far as adaptation for the tour guys, sometimes takes guys a little bit longer to get comfortable with it.
Shaft-wise, I think he's got Tensei all the way through down to his hybrid.
That sounds right.
If I remember correctly.
He's a blue guy.
Yeah.
And some heavy, stiff product. And he's what was it, an 8TX in his 3-wood?
I think of something like that, yeah.
I
think it was 100 TX in Tensei white in his hybrid.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
sledgehammer.
That's a lot of shaft.
That's a sledgehammer. but do you think, is it weird to see someone not have anything Fujikura in regards to in their woods?
I mean, it's definitely the outlier with the just absolute assault that Fuji has had on the PGA Tour. I mean, everywhere you look, there is a Ventus part in a player's bag somewhere, whether it's driver or in a wood or now in the hybrids, as they just released their hybrid line. So now you can keep that Ventus part basically cascading all the way through the top end of the bag. And then they have the Axiom iron shafts, which also has the Velocore technology in the iron shaft. But yeah, it is kind of interesting to not have a Ventus part in the bag in today's modern tour player, because that particular product with all of the structures that they have and the different colors that they have between the new 2024 release, the OG release, and the TR, and it's that lower launching, lower spinning part really works for the majority of what you have on the PGA Tour with the speeds that those guys produce.
Makes sense.
So not having anything is it's definitely kind of like, you don't see that really very often anymore.
Right. In other news as well, speaking of gear changes or lack thereof, but this is a gear change. DJ and TaylorMade have parted ways with each other.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson not being in the TaylorMade camp is definitely a big change.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I was watching the video of I think it was him and his brother playing against Phil and Grant Horvat. And
when Phil was getting super techie on the
and he's like, that's why I wanted to hit first.
That's why I wanted to hit first. That's classic DJ.
But I mean, he was playing a Scotty Cameron putter for 2 or 3 holes and then went to the lab. But it looked like he was playing a LA Golf driver in that video, testing out an LA Golf driver in that video.
Yeah, the LA Golf product, I mean, obviously Bryson has a big influence with anything, everything LA Golf related. And I haven't had a chance to hit the driver. The looks of it, I saw a couple of them sneaking around in players' bags at the Phoenix Open.
Did you? That's cool.
I did. Yeah, they were popping up here and there. I mean, ton of bulge and roll on the heads. So I mean, players that.
So really quickly, because I think bulge and roll is something people are going to hear a lot more of going forward, especially with what Bryson's doing and what have you. Can you explain what bulge and roll is, just so the people out there kind of get an understanding of why people care about bulge and roll?
Sure. I mean, if you're looking at as far as impact position on the face, towards the toe, towards the heel, high on the face, low on the face, bulge and roll is basically lending itself to shot correction, especially at higher speeds, right? So if you are hitting a shot towards the heel, it wants to tilt the spin axis of the ball and bring it basically more left to right. If you're hitting a shot towards the toe, wants to tilt the spin axis, and this is for right-handed player, wants to tilt the spin axis to bring it more right to left. So it's basically an engineering component design in the heads to help with shot correction on mishits. So now where you start to get the more bulge and roll you have for an amateur player, not necessarily the best thing out there, but for the higher speed players, it really benefits them. So I can see why Bryson likes it, right? So, I mean, he wants to be able to swing as hard as he can and just absolutely rip driver. And there's an adaptation for it on tour, and guys that want to have a little bit more control and a little bit more forgiveness and be able to shape shots and move the ball around just by hitting it in different parts of the face. There's players out there that don't necessarily like to manipulate face-to-path relationship, and they will play gear effect and hit it towards the toe to hit a particular shot shape, or they'll intentionally hit it off the heel to play a particular shot shape. So, and yeah, there's definitely a use for it or an application for it.
Cool. I didn't realize there was a lot of people out there in the waste management that were testing it. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
I wouldn't say it was a lot. I would say that
more than zero is a lot to me.
That's fair. Yeah, there was. I saw a couple coming out of head covers where I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then once I realized that it was the LA golf driver, and kind of poking around, walking the range line, and I'm like, "Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one." So there's definitely a curiosity, and I mean, you can't help but notice that Bryson moves the needle, and we were talking about the DJ factor separating from TaylorMade. Still playing QI35 product in competition, but doing some testing with other products. And you can't help but pay attention when Bryson does something. It's like, okay, why did he do that?
Yeah.
Because he's such an analytical, techie gear nerd like the rest of us. He likes to test and tinker, and he's not going to put something in play unless it's something that he has thoroughly vetted and tested on his own.
Well, because he's got his new LA Golf irons as well.
Yep.
So he's got a recent video on YouTube with what's his name? He's the main YouTube. He's the main good YouTube guy. I can't remember his name right now. It'll come to me. But yeah, he's playing the LA Shark. He's playing the LA Golf irons in that video, and he goes 6 under through 9.
That's insane.
From the tips. I mean, they look really dialed with him. But the way he's kind of set them up is, it looks like they are weighted. Every iron is weighted completely differently, depending on what he wants.
Yeah, there's some custom components in those irons that you can kind of manipulate the weighting. You can Garrett is the person's name from Good. I apologize. Oh,
Garrett Clark.
I was sitting there thinking about the gear, and Garrett Clark. Yeah, sorry, Garrett. Yeah, the LA irons are pretty interesting from a design standpoint. That you can move weights around, you can change some of the different shaping and components just by removing pieces, putting new pieces on, and I mean it's almost like a custom set of irons that can be customized every week depending upon the conditions and the playing or the turf swing conditions. Yeah. Are we hitting it off the toe? Do we want to hit draws? Do we need to hit fades? And you can do basically almost like I don't want to say a Rector set or Lego set, but pop pieces off, put new pieces in, and a dial in the iron depending upon what it is that the course conditions are giving you.
Be interesting to see what happens with that. If this is something that they're going to enter if this is something that LA Golf is going to enter into the market with, whether they want to start hitting. I know they've got their putters, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that wood side of things, because woods is hard, really hard to break. I mean, I remember when I was at PXG for that couple of years, that was the category that was the hardest nut for us to crack.
Oh, for sure.
How do we get more like irons? The PXG irons were great. But yeah, it was just, and hybrids and fairway woods, I think we've already had this conversation, but super underrated just on the PXG side of things.
Definitely.
And I'm really loving the mini driver as well from them, the secret weapon.
The secret weapon. Yeah. Can't talk about it.
But no, I'm really enjoying that as well. It's fast, it's long, it's really, really great. So, but it's going to be really interesting to see what LA Golf does there. Especially from a consumer side of things, with the amount that you can change that iron setup, and on the fitting side of things, about everything you can change with that. But the other thing that I'm interested to see what's going on is, so TaylorMade seems to be not losing, but parting ways with people, right? So they've parted ways with DJ. And I know this isn't tour; it's more on the YouTube side of things. But Micah Morris has left, and he's gone to Titleist. And you've got Grant Horvat, who was pretty much their poster child on the YouTube side of things. He's now gone to Tuckamore Golf and Lab, so he's not playing their putter anymore. He's not playing their wedges. He's not playing their irons. He's still playing their woods, and I think he's still playing the TaylorMade ball. But it's just interesting to see what they've got cooking up. Have they got something coming down the hopper?
Sure.
Have they got new players? Have they got some players that they're going after that they're clearing the roster for, so that they can put these new people on the roster? Because what I'll say is, I think this is going to be a big year for TaylorMade. Their product is incredible this year.
Product's fantastic top to bottom. And
100%.
They've got some new products that are going to be coming off of embargo that we can't necessarily talk about yet. But there's going to be a couple of releases coming down the pipeline that I think is just going to continue to round out what's already out there. QI35 is doing really well. The separation in the models in QI35 is great from a fitting perspective. And then you have the P series irons that, between everything that is currently in the lineup, and the ability to combo them together, the ability to just play them straight up, like, it's a golfer's company, and the products are designed by golfers for golfers. And
like FUBU.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they want to be known as the FUBU of golf, but good God, FUBU of golf. Sorry, TaylorMade.
I'm not.
The putter line that they just released with the new Spider launch is coming out.
Yep.
And
they've got the Olsen stuff as well.
Yeah, they added Olsen into the mix, and the fairway woods in QI35 are really, really solid. And yeah, the next few years with TaylorMade is going to be interesting, because I think they're starting to realize the application of the carbon face.
I was just about to say, this is the first year where I think they've finally gone. They've had their aha moment, and they know how to apply that carbon face in driver.
Yeah, and I mean, now it's to a point to where it's like, okay, we have the manufacturer, we figured out the issue that they kind of had with Stealth and the chassis being too rigid, and some of the other components failing under high speed conditions, and so on and so forth, and failures with bonding agents. And QI10 was really, really solid. And I'm going, okay, what are they going to do from QI10? QI35 has been very well received and is crushing it so far. Oh, I mean, it's only...
To me, it's light years ahead of the 10.
Light years ahead of the 10.
To me, it is.
That's fair.
The 10 was not in my consideration last year.
I mean, this has been the first year for several generations, I'll say, that the LS product, QI35 LS, and having the ability to move around the weighting component and shift some of the different components on the loft sleeve to where I can actually hit that LS. As historically for me, it's wanted to start right, go right, or it has been just a low diving left miss. And now what I'm seeing with QI35 LS, even though I'm in that low launch, low spin camp, I can add a little bit of loft to a 10.5 head. I can keep the heavy weight towards the back, and the launch window that I'm able to get that ball out of with that product, it's the shape that I prefer, but Like I've always been kind of gun shy on pulling the trigger on an LS head just because of my spin characteristics.
Sure.
And now I'm seeing in the QI35 LS that, this is a driver I could play.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love the shape of it. It checks all the boxes for look, sound, feel.
When we played last week, I was driving the ball very well.
You were hitting
with
that
it.
LS driver and so good.
And it got to a point where I was like, what do you want me to hit here? And you're like, baby cut. I'm like, all right. And I would just hit a baby cut.
It's on autopilot.
Everything was, like, what do you want me to hit? High drop. Okay. And it was working. That's why I mean it's light years ahead. That's why I'm really surprised Rory hasn't moved into it yet. But he does use that QI10 very, very well. But I think he's just that good no matter what he puts in his hands, it's going to go a zillion miles an hour. But the fact that Colin Morikawa is already put into play,
yep,
who's a sim guy, and we all know the original sim is my favorite driver of all time.
The original sim was extremely fade biased, and that was a push that TaylorMade had for QI35 LS. Was they were trying to take that start line bias and make it more neutral. As QI10 LS, that particular product was fade biased, just like the Stealth 2 Plus. And just like previous generations in that LS or Tour model, everything was fade bias. And that was some feedback that they got from the Tour, was to kind of work on bringing that start line back to neutral. And I mean, that's why I think you see the adaptation with the majority of players out there. But that could be one reason that Rory hasn't necessarily made a switch.
He likes the fade bias because he draws the ball so much.
It could be. I mean, he likes to see the ball start right and be able to hit that push draw.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe for him, that particular start line being more neutral gets it started on line and moving away from the target.
Fair.
I mean,
That's
who
fair.
knows?
That's fair. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with TaylorMade over the coming months and years. And because you've got Peter Finch that has now joined Titleist. Michael Morris has now joined Titleist. So Jackie's doing a good job over there getting that team built out along. It's really shoring it up with the no laying up guys as well, who I love.
Yeah.
It's so funny that we talk about YouTube golf, by the way, as in the gear aspect of things. But I do think it's important because they are super relatable. They are the people that we need to kind of look at in regards to golf games and swings and what have you. Because I can't mimic Rory's swing.
Yeah, nope. Not many can.
In all honesty, the person that I look at to try to mimic a swing is Nelly Corder.
Okay.
Her swing is incredible, and we have a very similar tempo and what have you. And yeah, like we should actually be looking more at LPGA players for our swings than PGA players.
Like set composition.
I said it first, just then.
No, you are full of shit. No, I totally agree with that. When it comes to like set composition and building your bag and trying to emulate a player's game, like don't look at the PGA Tour. You're not that guy.
I don't have that.
Not that guy. Like, let's look over here.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to swing that fast. My body will just implode.
Oh, yeah. I would herniate myself in every which way possible trying to, like you said, trying to swing it like Rory. Yeah, I think things would just explode, implode, insides, outsides, and all the things. But I mean, trying to build a swing for the average amateur, like who do I look at as a swing model? Like look more towards Champions Tour and LPGA for what to do and kind of guidance on swing dynamics, set composition. And now, granted, the people that are on the Champions Tour are still moving it faster than the majority of us in the amateur world. And I mean, even some of the female players in the collegiate realm are, I mean, they're cruising now.
Totally.
But it's still more in line than anything that's going on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
And yeah, and look at Freddie Couples. Freddie Couples playing the old 7 hybrid. I love that.
Early extension kid.
I mean, he in his youth, double jointed and hyper flexible, and just had the range of motion that we can just aspire to have at some point in time in our lives.
Bless you, Mark.
Double thumbs up. He's good. Now moving into his Champions Tour career, and you see a bag full of head covers.
Yeah.
And he still gets out there and just stripes it.
Yeah, his Tempo Town is awesome with him.
Tempo Town. I love it.
But yeah, so anyway, I think that's it for us, right? We've got our socials. What are our socials again, Christopher?
Oh, buddy. On X, @fully_equipped. On Instagram, we are at Fully Equipped Golf. And Mark, are we getting any hotline calls to where we can start to put this hotline episode together? Anybody calling us, or is it just crickets out there?
I think we got a couple, and we have a graphic that needs to be going up on social that you guys will share.
Okay.
Hopefully this week. It's complete. I don't know why we're not sharing it yet, but I'll find out.
Yep. So if you guys want to know that number, it's 480-442-1168. That's 480-442-1168. And once again, if you do have any questions that you want answered on the show and that you want to bring up, do so. I know we see a lot of comments on YouTube and Instagram and all of that kind of stuff, and it's hard to get to a lot of them.
Yep.
And reply. So if there is something that you're looking to get an answer to, don't hesitate to give us a bell, and we'll try to answer to the best of our abilities. Even if it's like new gear, what we're playing, and you'll get, trust me, people, you get honest opinion out of me. I'm not going to hold anything back. So
yeah, I get quite a few DMs that are asking me gear advice, and some people just share their gear success stories. And hey, heard you talking about something on the pod and decided to put that in the bag. It's been awesome. And every once in a while, I get told that I'm an idiot and don't know anything, and that's fair too.
Yeah.
So I don't claim to know everything, but I would like to think that I know a lot about a little. So
Someone's got to.
Somebody's got to do it.
Anyway, man, I hope you have a good week, and look forward to catching up next week and seeing what happens in the golf world.
Always, buddy. With that, we'll see you next time.
Peace.